looking deep down the left side. Mendeville into the end zone. Touchdown!
Down the sideline, still Foley to the house.
And the players streaming from the sideline to celebrate with 17 seconds left.
Well, welcome in, everybody, to BVarsity Live for Thursday, October. What day is today? It's the 20th? Yeah, the 20th. All right. So we're getting into October. Sad news today, everybody. I don't get to pick on Trevor. He's not here. The chair's empty. He had to go home sick. So get well soon, Trevor. I know he's watching. And when Trevor's sick, Trevor's really sick because he likes to be here and cause havoc. So he's not here. He can't cause any havoc, so I'm flying solo today. But that's okay. That's okay because we have some guests. We have Garces Tennis in the house as the girls' tennis playoffs begin tomorrow. Actually, today, excuse me. Garces doesn't play today. They have a bye, but they do begin today, the girls' tennis playoffs. And we will have Coach Barb Johnston-Hill along with the sisters, her top players, Anastasia Drulius and Alexia Drulius, a senior and a freshman. They get to play together this year. They're playing doubles together this year. It's a cool story. So we will talk to the Rams. And after that, we will have Nick Ellis in the house. And that's always a lot of fun. Nick Ellis is here to argue with me about whatever Nick feels like talking about. And we'll also talk to him about the refereeing shortage in Kern County. That's a popular topic when Nick comes in. We always talk to Nick about that, and we talked a little bit about that last week about how, hey, you don't think the officials are doing a good job? Don't pick on them because it makes them quit, and when they quit, there's fewer of them, and when there's fewer of them, the officiating gets even worse. So it's kind of this vicious cycle. So there are two ways you can what you can do to help solve the problem. Number one, don't berate officials, certainly not any more than you feel is absolutely necessary. And number two, get out there and give it a shot. Try officiating, and Nick will give you some details on how to do that with the Kern County Officials Association. So we will talk about that in the third segment. And, of course, we've got our high school football predictions to do. In the fourth segment, I will give you Trevor's prediction. I will make fun of it, and then I will give you my prediction, so it'll be lots of fun. And our game of the week this week on BVarsity Live is a good one. It's the Garces Rams at the Liberty Patriots, and that's coming your way tomorrow night right here on Bakersfield.com. 7 o'clock pregame, 7:30 kickoff, and the Rams and Patriots both still in title contention in the Southwest Yosemite League. Your standings look sort of like this. Liberty, Bakersfield, both 2-0. We're used to seeing those two teams fight for the title, and they play in Week 11 to end the regular season. Then you've got Garces and Centennial. They are both 1-1. And then Stockdale and Frontier, they play each other this week. They're 0-2, and we'll talk more about what that game could mean for Stockdale. It could have major, major playoff implications for a school that started out 4-1 with only a 1-point loss to the number one team in the section at that time, Clovis. But Stockdale's got a school rule that if you don't finish 500, you don't go to the playoffs. All of a sudden, they've lost a couple of games in a row. They're 4-3 are the Mustangs, and they end the season with Bakersfield and Garces. So two very tough games coming up. If they should lose to Frontier, all of a sudden, Stockdale would have to beat one of those two teams, Garces or Bakersfield, just to salvage a 500 season after suffering a couple of losses the last 2 weeks. So a lot on the line for the Mustangs if they choose to continue to follow that school policy of 500. We mentioned tennis playoffs. We've got Garces in the house coming up in a few minutes. The playoff brackets were unveiled on Monday, and they look like this. Clovis West and Clovis North are your top two seeds in Division I. But the two of the top challengers to those two teams will be number 3, Garces, the Rams, and also number 5, Stockdale. In between those two teams is Buchanan, traditional girls tennis power in the central section. The Bears will open up hosting Stockdale in the quarterfinals. That's been the championship 3 years in a row, Stockdale against Buchanan, with Buchanan winning 2 of them, Stockdale winning 1. That's going to be in the quarterfinals. The winner of that most likely will get Clovis West in the semis, and then the other half of the bracket, Garces will face the winner of Liberty and Bullard. If Liberty opens today at home, if the Patriots win, it'll be an all-Kern County battle there in the quarters between Garces and Liberty, and the winner of that would most likely get Clovis North in the semis. The championships are coming up November the 8th, also known as Election Day, so it's also Championship Day in girls tennis. In Division II, Bakersfield Christian, and we tried to get the Eagles on the show today, but we could not get their top player, Delaney Roach. She had some academic responsibilities. But the Eagles have won 11 11 section titles in a row. I can't even count that many on my fingers. That's how many years they have won in a row. Most of those have been in lower divisions, Division 5, Division 4, then Division 3. Now the Eagles in Division 2, they are the defending Division 2 champions, and they are the number 1 seed in Division 2 this year. They have a bye today, and they will play next Wednesday, against the winner of Edison and Mount Whitney to open their girls tennis Division 2 campaign. And if seeds hold to form, we'll have a very interesting championship there in Division 2 because the number 2 seed is Bakersfield High School. So we could have Bakersfield Christian against Bakersfield High. I believe, if I remember correctly, the Drillers and Eagles met in the semifinals last year. They could be in line to play in the championship in Division 2 this year. In Division 3, Lemoore is the number 1 seed, Selma's number 2, and then the next 2 seeds are in Kern County, number 3, Taft, and number 4, West. So the Wildcats and the Vikings, the ones to keep an eye on there in Division 3. In Division 4, your top seeds are Kerman and Chowchilla. Kern County doesn't come into the picture until number 5 with Wasco, and Cesar Chavez is number 6. And in Division 5, your top seeds Fireball and CVC. And Kern County, only Kern County teams in the bracket, number 7, Kern Valley, and number 8, Shafter. And by the way, speaking of Kern Valley, High Desert League teams can host playoff games this year. Kern Valley not in line to host a game. They have a bye to the quarterfinals where they would be on the road, but there is the option now for High Desert League teams. If they are higher seeded, they get to host. That has not been the case for the last 3 years. So keep that in mind as we go toward the football playoff picture. Football seeding coming up on November the 5th in Porterville, and that's just, well, it's just 2 short weeks away from this Saturday. We've got 3 games left for every team, starting with Garces and Liberty, the big game this week in Week 9 here in Kern County. And again, we'll have that one live for you on Bakersfield.com. Elsewhere, going on, the Southwest Yosemite League of Volleyball. There's Nick Ellis making faces in the window. I see you, Nick. I see you, buddy. I got my eyes on you. And he will be in the studio later. But in volleyball, we've got the Liberty Patriots, defending champions. They were 10-0 last year. They have lost a league match. They're at 6-1 with 3 match days left, beginning with this evening. Frontier facing Stockdale tonight, or Frontier's facing Stockdale. Liberty, is facing Garces tonight. And there are a couple of 5-2 teams in that league race. Frontier is one of them, and I believe Garces is the other. So a big volleyball match tonight between Garces and Liberty. In cross country, SWL cross country, their final mini meet was yesterday, and as expected, Cagney Duncan, who we've had in on the show, she was the star of the show. She won the girls' race, and Marcus Moda of Stockdale won the boys' race. So a very good showing by both of those individuals, as well as they get ready to go into the postseason with the Kern County Championships coming up. I want to say the weekend right before Halloween, 2 Saturdays from now, October the 29th. And let's see, what does that leave? Golf, the area golf championships are Monday. They are out at Buena Vista. Your stars there, anybody can win it. It's always how it works in golf. It's 1 round, 1 shot, whoever plays well on that day. But at this point, your overwhelming favorites are 3-time defending Player of the Year. That's Lexi Keene of Stockdale. You've seen her in here on BVarsity Live plenty of times. And Bakersfield Christian's Maddie Daniel. If you look at stroke averages, their average round throughout the year, those 2 ladies, Lexi Keene and Maddie Daniel, are way above the rest of the field. So somebody could surprise, sure, but it looks like it's going to be Lexi against Maddie for that championship, the area championship on Monday. And then, of course, after that, the following week, you actually get 2-1. That's not usually how the section does it, but with daylight savings time, all those sort of things, I think they had trouble finding a course to host them the next week. The individual section championships and team section championships will be on the same day, and I want to say that is at Lemoore Golf Club. So that's coming up very quickly as well, and all of a sudden like that, the golf season in the central section will be over, and then they'll go on and play regional and state, those who advance from the section. But that's what's coming up. So football, obviously, Week 9 coming up. We've got a game tonight. Delano's at Monache. And then tomorrow, the big ones in the SWL, it's Garces Liberty, Bakersfield Centennial, Stockdale Frontier. The SEYL race almost certainly going to be decided up at Scotland Yard, where South is playing Highland. The Scots trying to break through with the first league title in school history. And Trevor, assuming he gets off of his deathbed today, will be out there tomorrow to see the Rebels play the Scots. And if I know Trevor, he'll be out there one way or the other. And then in the SYL, pretty big game too, at East Bakersfield High, the Blades, 7-1, get a big chance. Their biggest home game in more than 10 years, I would say, facing two-time defending Division II section champion Ridgeview. The Wolfpack coming at just 3-4, but we'll talk about that in the fourth segment a little bit. But that's a big one. And then Tehachapi Golden Valley, a big game. Chavez and Kennedy for the battle of at least that half of Delano. Chavez and Kennedy going at it in the SSL race as well. So we'll get to all of the Week 9 football games and some of our predictions later in the show. Once again, our game of the week this week, Garces at Liberty, 7 o'clock tomorrow night on Bakersfield.com and on the radio on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m. and the new 98.1 FM. And I'll have that call with Matt Alvarez, pregame show at 7 o'clock, kickoff coming your way at 7:30. And just 2 weeks left before we hit the playoffs. So lots of football talk to come. But when we come back, it's going to be time for tennis. We're going to have the Garces tennis team in the house, namely Coach Barb Johnston-Hill and her two top players, sisters, Anastasia and Alexia Drulius. That's coming up right after this here on BVarsity Live.